Good evening. Welcome to Vibin with Ashley Live. I'm your host, Ashley Live, and tonight is episode 156. My guest this evening is the beautiful and talented singer-songwriter Elisa Fiorillo. So a little bit about Elisa. She won Star Search at the age of 15 years old, and her debut album came out in 1988, which included the single Who Found Who. From 2009 to 2014, Elisa toured internationally with Prince's The New Power Generation. On April 6th, she will be performing with D-Train at Myron's in Las Vegas. Elisa's in the house. Whenever you're ready, feel free to join my live. Hi, Eric. Hi, Andrew. Oh, Terry, thank you so much for your comment. Yes, today is Elisa Fiorillo. Elisa, whenever you're ready, request to join my live. Hi, guys. Hello, hello. How we doing this evening? Hello. All right, Elisa, I'm going to see if I can invite you.
I think I got it.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I gotta adjust my camera somehow or another.
Yeah.
I got a little higher here.
No worries. I actually changed into my shirt, my Prince shirt, but you can't even see it.
Oh no.
But I'll show it to you. Because he's right here.
Oh yeah, and there he is on my wall, just like that.
Yes, he's on your wall. He's on my shirt. So how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm gonna adjust this so I'm not so okay, there I am. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, no worries.
I'm here. I was like, how do I request? So I just wrote
You're good.
I'm here.
Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to come on my show and chat with me. We have a lot of good stuff to talk about. You have some new music coming. You're doing a show in April in Vegas. And I'm really excited for my audience to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, it's exciting. I haven't done an interview in a while, but I think I remember what to say.
You know what? I think you'll be fine.
Right. I'm ready.
So, it's March, and it's Women's History Month. So I would like to talk about a woman in your life that inspires you.
Wow, there's lots of them. Can I have to pick one?
You can pick like a couple. I know it's hard.
It's hard. My grandmom, which was my dad's mom, she completely inspired me. She was the one that actually got me singing when I was a little girl. She lived in Florida. She had moved away from us, and I was so devastated when my grandma moved away. But she would come visit during the summers, and she'd bring a little tape recorder, and she'd get me to sing and record songs with her and harmonize with her. So I kind of learned how to do harmony because of my grandmom.
Oh,
and
cool.
I have ears of an elephant, some people say, because I hear harmony in everything. Like I can't even sing the melody on a song. I just go straight to the harmony all the time. And that's because of my grandmom. But she was always so proud, and she really gave me confidence, and she was a strong woman. I think I also got a lot of my ways are my grandmom's ways. Like I'm kind of OCD. So as far as cleaning goes, like things have to be in order. And like she would move my mom's furniture in the house, and my mom would get so upset because my grandmom would literally rearrange her entire living room. Like carry the furniture. I'm like, that's a strong Italian woman like me. That's exactly what I do. So Grandma Nanny Fiorillo, her name was Betty. She was probably my biggest influence. Let me think. Of course, my mother. My mother was a very humble woman. So she was the one that kind of kept me humble. My dad was a concert pianist, and he had studied with Vladimir Horowitz, and he was, big time performer and college professor at Temple University. And my mom, he had a little bit of an ego, and my mom was very down to earth. So she gave me my balance, my mom. And she's no longer with us, so I miss her. And then I guess the other girl would be my daughter, because she's inspiring me. it's funny now, like when I'll have gigs and there's like new songs I have to learn, she like learns them before I do and teaches them to me. So,
oh, that's so cute.
it's adorable. And now she's a good, she harmonizes like amazing and dances and acts, and oh my God, I'm in trouble.
I can only imagine what it's like in your house when you guys are together and you're like singing back and forth with each other.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't let me sing.
Why?
Like in the car, forget about it. She wants to hear her songs and she wants to sing. So I don't always get to sing with her, but sometimes we do. And when we do, it is a nice blend. There is something to be said about family members that sing together. There's something special about that blend that you can't do with other people. Although when I sang with Shelby and Liv, that was quite an angelic blend. And I give that up to Prince for just knowing that our voices would just mesh so well together. And we really did learn how to be background singers. I know that he didn't like us calling ourselves background, but he taught us how to blend and support the singer, the main singer, and not overpower or, just be there as support. And that's what we did, and we did it well. I miss singing with him.
Definitely. And I think because it's Prince and because he has such a musical ear, I mean, he played all these instruments and he was just so, amazing for his time, right? And so he took these three incredible singers, you were one of them, Liv and Shelby, and he said, we're just going to make magic happen.
And we did. There's so many wonderful memories when I went to visit Paisley Park. In the front entryway where, you've come in the front door to start the tour, like we would literally sit, there was a couch there and he would bring his guitar out and teach us parts. And I just remember sitting up there, just learning parts and laughing. And, I have a little cassette, a little mini cassette of all of our recordings of our rehearsals. So to hear him laugh and to hear him teaching us, like we learned like 400 songs with him. And then the other room was where the piano was, that was like in the back of Paisley, and you could see all the trees. And I remember one day we were singing and the birds were singing, and it was just so cool. I was like, oh my God, it's so surreal being at Paisley Park and working with Prince and getting to sing with such talented singers that, could harmonize so well. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. I'll always treasure. So.
So Liv and Shelby, talk to us about their musical influence on your career journey and touring and all that stuff.
So I definitely learned a lot from both, actually. Shelby was a little powerhouse, man. She'd get on stage and she'd be like, yo, 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 everybody. I never saw so much energy in one person. We would be like, girl, you're on like 110 right now. Bring it down to 100. But she always had the energy. I don't know how she did it. And she was the definition of trooper, when you're on tour, a lot of things happen, and the show still goes on. Right. I remember we were in New York City and her father passed away, and we had shows, and she just got up there and she did her thing because she knew that's what her dad would have wanted, When we were in Abu Dhabi, John Blackwell's father had passed, and we stayed up till all hours of the night with John, just consoling him, being his family, and just being there for him. And when we did Purple Rain that next night, oh my God, all of us were in tears. It was just, we became such a close family. And Liv was my little sister. Well, she was taller than me, but I was older. I was like the middle girl, and I was definitely the definition of the middle child. And Liv was new at background singing. She had never done it. So she had to learn how to not be a solo singer, because she was soloist and she could sing. So she had to tone it back. She had to learn how to blend. She had to do all that. And she became that much greater by having his tutelage, and having him teach us everything he did. So, and together when we would sing Angel and we'd sing To Make You Feel My Love, and Prince would give us those moments where we could just sing, it was just such a blessing. And he just loves singers. He's such a big fan of good singers and women singers. He's such a big fan of women singers. So we're happy to be there with him. It was like our little, our brother, you know?
Yes. And so it's been a long time since you've seen both of them or performed with both of them. When was the last time you saw them?
I saw them when we went to Paisley Park to do Good Morning America. It was right when the Welcome to America tour happened. Or not the tour, but the record came out.
Right.
And so we did a little interview and reminisced, and it was kind of funny because we talked so much in that interview and they cut everything out. They used like a very small amount, and I was thinking, yay, they're finally going to hear me speak. And then nothing I said was it was all on the editing room floor. So I'm like, oh, well, there you go, story of my life. And it was nice to be in the same room again, and to be there together again. You know, it was our home. We lived there. We were there for hours, like 8-hour rehearsal days, 7 days a week. And you know, that really was our home. We'd eat our dinner there. We'd, watch movies there. We'd watch Finding Nemo 100 million times because we'd always have it playing. We'd sit and watch basketball with them. You know, just a lot of great memories. And I'm actually going to be there in June because I've been doing something really cool. I don't know if you know about this, but I've been working with one of his biggest fans, a lady by the name of Heidi Vader. She started a group called Purple Playground, and it's with Willie Adams, who had another Academy of Prince. I'm trying to remember all the names. And together, during COVID, they invited me to be a guest on their Zoom call, working with kids on writing songs, and all around the world. So I got on, Shelby was a guest, Liv was a guest, and then it turned into me being asked to, since I did such a good job teaching the kids, that I got asked to be part of the music, like the music director for it. So last summer, I went to Minneapolis for 2 weeks and worked with all these kids, and we wrote and produced like 5 songs. And then we're going back in June. So I'm going back in June, and we're doing a little visit to Paisley Park with the kids, which is really cool. Yeah. And I get to help these kids in the studio with recording and, learning how to write and learning how to, work together as a team and how to perform live and what to do on stage, what not to do on stage. So it's quite I didn't know I was a teacher, but I guess that's what happens when you have a daughter. You turn into a teacher.
Definitely. But you've been in the business for so many years. You've had so many incredible experiences. So it's like everything that you've learned over your career, you can teach to these young singers. How old are these kids that you're teaching?
The youngest was, I think, 11. And the oldest was 18. So amazing. It's a nice range.
Yeah.
And it's cool because the kids kind of came into the class not knowing each other. Like my own daughter was saying, Mom, I don't want to go. I don't know anybody. I'm like, Olivia, you're going and you're going to love it. You're going to love these kids. They're all like you. She went. She didn't want to leave. She's like, Mom, I want to live in Minnesota. I don't want to leave. She was crying. She was holding on to the girls' hands. I'm like, no, we have to go home. So it was interesting to see a lot of like really shy kids came out of their shell. One girl in particular, Naya, I was so impressed by. Great little singer and a great little writer. And by the end of it, we were doing our last day on the Purple Playground 2-week get together, and then we had the parents come in to see what we wrote and play the songs. And Naya tapped me on the shoulder and she's like, do you think I could sing a song I just wrote? And I'm like, right now? Right here? She goes, I could play it on guitar and I could sing it if it's okay. And she's like, I just need to finish the lyric real quick in the other room. Can I do that? And I'm like, sure, go ahead. She came back and she, no fear, got up in front of everybody, played the guitar, and sang the most beautiful little song. I was crying. I was like, this is crazy. But it was so great. You felt like you really inspired. And we talk about Prince, and we talk about his music, and we talk about all the people that were inspired, Prince was inspired by. So it's like educational, and it's invigorating and inspiring, and it's all those things. So it's cool. I can't wait to go back in June.
Yeah, and it's so amazing because when you first went to Paisley Park, it was for your second album, correct?
For my second album, yeah. I actually
what year was that?
That was in 1989 or 90, I think it was. I had gotten sent there by Chrysalis, who was my record label.
Yeah.
My A&R lady, Kate Hyman, knew a producer named David C., Bobby Z's brother. Yeah. And David had just finished the Jets and the Fine Young Cannibals record and Jody Watley, and so they thought that would be a good fit. So I went there, and we started writing songs, and then Levi Caesar, who was Prince's guitar player, kind of came in and started writing with us. And then like 3 months into it, I was in the restroom, and I came back to Studio A, and Prince was at the control board, and I'm like, oh, I hadn't seen him 3 months, never saw Prince, because he was probably on tour.
Yeah. And
then suddenly there was Prince. It's like this little miraculous little guy sitting at the, he would hate me that I said he was little just then. But yeah, so he's like, is that you? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, go in there and sing it. I don't believe that's you singing. I'm like, okay. So I was feisty, and I went in there, and I started singing the song, and he said, all right, meet me in Studio B. I have some stuff I want you to sing on. I'm like, okay. And it ended up I was singing, he wanted me to sing on the Party Man remix he was working on with the Batman soundtrack. So then he just kind of kept coming around, and, you know, and I wasn't really treating him very differently. I just kind of was acting like the Italian girl that I was, and I was hitting him in the arm when I'd walk by and go, hey, how are you? And he'd say, stop hitting me. And he'd say, stop calling me you. And then he basically just came in and one day with a cassette, and he said, these are some songs I'm thinking might be good for you. And I looked at the cassette, and I didn't recognize anything except for Darling Nikki, because I knew about that one, right?
Yeah.
And I went, these are your songs. And he goes, so you do know who I am? And I went, yeah, am I supposed to treat you differently or something?
Right, yeah.
And he said, no, just checking, you know. And then I was like, well, okay. So after that, he just felt really comfortable around me, because I was just me. And I guess a lot of people weren't just themselves. And what's interesting is I noticed that happening later on, roll 30 years later, when I was working with him, and he met Hannah and Josh. They were that young energy, and they weren't intimidated by Prince, you know?
Yeah.
And they became very close, and they would talk about the Bible and like all the things that he wanted to talk to young kids about, young, you know, just to have their energy. And so it was interesting being in it and then seeing it again later, which being in his life twice in a lifetime, that's something I don't, that's just insane.
Yeah. I think it's so amazing how you met him then when you were doing the second album, and then you know, he called you and was like, hey, come out to California.
Right.
And it's like, to even just like have the second time with him, right? Because I mean, sometimes you only meet somebody once in your life, you only know him for 2 months, you never see him again. But then to have that opportunity twice, and then for him to be like, hey, you should join the band. Like, we're looking for a female singer.
Yeah, he came into my life. It's just crazy. At a time when I was going through a lot, I had moved to Vegas. I had a baby. My mom passed away. I was trying to get work in Vegas, and I couldn't, because I had baby weight, you know, and it's very, you know, very marketing out here. You have to have everything in the right order. Yeah. And when he called, I was like struggling. Like, my husband was working at the time full time, and I was home with the baby. So we were just getting by. And when he called and he said, what are you doing? I'm like, wow, it's you? And I was working at my daughter's daycare, like flipping chicken nuggets and serving screaming kids and mopping floors like Cinderella.
Oh my gosh.
I did it just because I needed money to work. I had to work. And when he called, it was like, you know, like suddenly my life might happen again. This is so cool. And he did say, he's like, I have something I'm working on, and I'll contact you in about 3 months or so, and we'll talk. And I said, okay. So I waited 3 months. I didn't hear. And I'm like, was that a prank call? Like, was I just pranked? Like, but then I sent a message to the assistant, and she's like, no, it was him. I'll have him call you. Do you need to speak with him? I'm like, yeah, because I was really starting to hurt. And he called, and he said, what's going on? And I said, I just need to work. And he said, is it money? And I said, yeah. He's like, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. I'll take care of it. And I was like, okay. He's like, just give me a little more time. And I'm like, how much more time?
I don't have that much time.
I don't have that much time. So then he's like, just be patient. I'm like, okay. I said, you're such an angel to me right now. You have no idea how that makes me feel. He's like, I said, I just want to sing. And he's like, I know. So I was patient. And a month later, I get a call. And they said, hey, Prince wants you to sing backgrounds for a girl named Bria Valente that he's producing. And could you come to LA? And I'm like, cool, and do Jay Leno. I'm like, sure, I'd love to. So I got in my little Toyota Matrix, and I drove to California. And of course, he made fun of my car when I got there. I was like, what kind of ride is this? I'm like, well, hello, I need to make money. So he was such a joker. So I get there, I do the show, I do the rehearsal, and I guess Bria decided she didn't want to go on Jay Leno for whatever reason. So he had to go on. So then I had to learn his new song he just wrote, which was, gosh, I can't remember. But anyway, I learned two songs. And so we did Jay Leno, and then he was doing the Nokia Theater, and he asked if I'd want to do it. And I said, well, I only know 2 songs. He's like, well, just do the 2 songs, and if you know any others, just come on stage. I'm like, I don't know any others. I felt like such an idiot. So I'm standing backstage, like thinking, oh my God, I gotta learn this. Oh my God. And it was funny, the reviewer actually wrote in the review, yeah, first there were 3 background singers, and then there were 2. The other lady never came. I was like, that was me. So yeah. And then after that, I learned everything. He gave me everything to learn. And he did say, no, I want you to be in the band. And I said, I've never toured with a child. I don't know how this works. He's like, we'll make it work. He goes, I want to meet Olivia. I want to meet her. Bring her when you come to Minnesota. So I didn't believe him. So when they asked me to fly there, I flew there. And when I got to rehearsal, he goes, where's Olivia? I'm like, I didn't think you were serious. He's like, yeah. He goes, don't come next time without her. I'm like, okay. So then the next time I went, I brought her. I had to bring a lady to help me take care of her because I was gone 8-hour days. I couldn't leave a 3-year-old in a hotel. Like, he doesn't think of those things, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, bring her over for dinner. I'm like, well, she's at the hotel with the nanny, and I can't, like, have her come alone. She doesn't drive. I can't stick her in an Uber. He's like, well, have the nanny come. I'm like, are you sure? And I'm thinking, oh my God, she's a freaking Prince fan. This is not going to go well. So I said, nanny, listen, nanny, you need to be calm. You're coming to dinner with Prince and Olivia. Just don't say anything. Just act like normal. I could not believe how well she behaved. I was so impressed with the nanny that came. Her name's Karen. Yeah. And Olivia was like all up and down, jumping around like a kid, and he was loving it. He's like, let's go in the studio, I'll play Twinkle Twinkle. And she sang and he played the guitar, and just it was so beautiful to give him that, you know. And every time after that, he's like, make sure she comes next time. I'm like, okay. So I got to have her there with me a lot, which was great.
Yeah, and that's so important because as a mom, you want to spend those formative years with your child. And it's like, I cannot go on a worldwide tour with you on every corner of the globe and like try to raise my daughter.
I was gone for a month and a half in Europe without her. And it was crushing my heart. And he could tell. And there were times where he'd say to everyone, you know, maybe Elisa shouldn't, you know, be here. And I'm thinking, I can't act like too upset because then I'll lose my job.
No, of course.
But then there was a year where I think it was when he met Andy Allo that he had her go. And he said, "You can stay home." And I'm like, I see how you're playing this. So it's like, great. Now Andy took my job. But then he said, no, when I get back, you'll have a job. And sure enough, he called me when he got home and I did it. I told him, I'm like, perfect, because she wanted to do swim classes and I would be home now to take her to swim classes, which is important. So
yeah,
he really valued that. And that was very special. That made me feel like family, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's so cool how he reached out to you and you were just like working in a daycare. Like,
Yeah.
do you think something came over him and he was like, I need to reach out to you? Do you think like somebody was saying to him, like, you need to reach out because you were in such a crazy state?
No, they didn't know. It actually happened because I did a gig in Vegas, and one of the techs on the gig, they were talking about Paisley Park, and I overheard him, and I said, "Oh, I used to work at Paisley Park." He goes, "Oh, you should say hi to Prince. He's at the Rio." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't do that. I'm not going there going, hey, remember me? Hi, give me a job." Yeah. So he's like, "Well, I'll let him know I saw you." So that's what he did. He went home and told me. And then I had a YouTube clip on YouTube with a jazz trio. And I had my fake management name, which was, what was it? Fiore? Or no. What was my name? And how could I forget this? It was Decent Fiorillo mixed. I forget. Anyway, he called my fake management. He called. Nobody ever called me on that phone. I was thinking, what fan is going to call me on my home phone number? This is going to be weird when I have to answer the phone. And the only person that ever called me was him. So I was glad that I had that up there.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So I want to talk about your debut album. Looking back on this project,
right?
What does it make you think of? What were you going through during that time?
I was just so happy to have a record deal. I had just won the Star Search, and my lawyer at the time was trying to get me a deal. And, you know, everybody was like, does she write songs? And I wrote a little bit, but I wasn't that big of a writer. So Chrysalis kind of signed me, took me under their wing, sent me to London to work with a songwriter named Ian Prince, which is so crazy, all these princes in my life. So I was there for a good month writing with him. And I realized really early on that the record industry, the people who ran the record business, that a lot of them didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
They were not musical, and they were they weren't what I grew up with. So to me, it started to look more like a business than a musical thing. And then when it turned into, oh, she needs to do songs like this, and people kept pitching songs to me to be Madonna when I wanted to do Streisand songs, they're like, no, when you're older and you have a bigger career, you can do that record that you really always wanted to do. And I never did get to do. But I was like, okay, I guess this is how it works. I didn't 17, 18 going, oh, I'll take it. So I did Who Found Who. They put me in touch with Jellybean. He was also on the label. And I got to tour with Jellybean and promote that song, and it became a big hit. And I remember being in LA driving and going, oh my God, that's my song. And I pull over and just sit there so I don't get in an accident. And then on the first album also, I got to work with Reggie Lucas back in New York, actually, in what is it called? Right outside of New York. What's that little place right before you get to New York? You're in New York. You should know this. Yeah.
Yeah, the little place right before. New Jersey?
Well, what was it? No, okay, so no, it's not. Okay, it's on the other side of the bridge. Anyway, that's where Reggie lived. Reggie worked with
Staten
Madonna.
Island, Brooklyn?
No. Yeah. Darn it. It's COVID brain, I think. Anyway.
Don't worry. It's okay.
Reggie Lucas, they put me together with him because he produced Lucky Star and all the Madonna stuff. So he was great to work with. And then they sent me to Philadelphia, where I was from, and I worked at Sigma Sound, and I did a bunch of demos there and worked with a bunch of people. And then that record came out, and like one song became a hit. It wasn't that, it didn't do great. How Can I Forget You did okay. And then Forgive Me for Dreaming did really well. And that was a song by Jerry Goffin, and gosh, I can't remember. It's been so long. But that did well. And then when it was my turn to do a second record, that's when I went and worked with David Z, and then Prince got involved, and then that came out, and that was my career.
Yeah, definitely. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Stick to your guns and do the record you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't have a spine when you're 17. You just want to go wherever they tell you to go.
Yeah.
And if it was me now, and what's interesting, the thing with Prince, when I was working on that second album, it was a little closer to what I wanted to do. But when he got involved, it became more of a Prince record than an Elisa record. And it wasn't his fault. It was just, he was writing. I was thinking it was funky. I was like, oh, I'll do it. You know, I was on board. But after the record was all recorded, I was at his house, the one that burned down, that he burned down after, I guess, his divorce. He had a lavender piano, and I remember sitting and playing a song I wrote called All You Need Is Love, which sounded like a real Beatles tune. And he sat down and he goes, why didn't you do a record like that? And I'm like, I didn't know it was any good. I thought, I just, you don't know when you write if people are going to like it. You don't know. And he loved it. He's like, the simple melodies that you come up with are so melodic. Like he compared me to the Beatles. He's like, you write like the Beatles. I was like, really? He's like, next record you should do that. I'm like, okay. And then that never happened. I ended up leaving Chrysalis Records. I got another deal with A&M Records. I worked on a whole album with a producer named Peter Bonetta and Rick Chudikoff, who produced Smokey Robinson's Just to See Her and had a big Grammy with it. And did a whole album, and then it never came out.
Wow.
And it was like a Mariah Carey album. It was almost like I just kind of went with whatever they told me to do. And that's what's kind of messed my chances of a career up. But it also taught me that I could sing anything. Like I can sing opera, I can sing Broadway, I can sing theater, I can sing jazz, I can sing pop, I can sing rock, I can sing, R&B and soul. And so it's given me opportunities that, I can actually do all that stuff. And I can sing country too. I can sing like Dolly Parton,
And you do.
Sorry.
Yes, you do a good Dolly Parton impression as well.
I do. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. No, and I'm not going to do that in Vegas. I promise I will not become Dolly. I will not.
Definitely. So, speaking of Vegas, April 6th, you have a show with D-Train. Can you tell the beautiful people watching right now a little bit more about the show and what they can expect?
Okay, well, it's called Come and Get Your Soul Full. D-Train is actually, interestingly enough, we did the George Lopez show a while back with Prince. And one of the songs he wanted to do was actually D-Train's song called You're the One for Me. So Shelby sang lead. We did the backgrounds. We had a little dance number, a little salsa number. Sheila Hughes playing doing her drums. And so when I met him and he was living in Vegas, I was like, D-Train, we got to do a show together. This is just because we sang a song together and it was just butter, like singing with him. Oh my God, such a dream. And his personality is just outgoing and funny. Like, I think I'm kind of funny. Maybe someone said I should be a comedian. No, not doing that. They did. But yeah, so D-Train and I are doing let's see, I'm looking at the set list. We've got some, I hit the computer, sorry. Some brand new heavies. We got James Ingram and Patty Austin. We're doing some of that. We're doing some Michael McDonald. We're doing, let's see, Michael Jackson, definitely Prince. Cheryl Lynn. We're doing To Be Real and like a little disco thing. So it's going to be a great show. A lot of great music. Songs I just love to sing. So I'm gonna be R&B Elisa that night. Soulful Elisa.
Yes, that is so fun, because when you said you met D-Train, he's so fun, like you have similar stories, and I was like, you definitely do. You both have such positive energy. You love music, like, and you've been doing music for such a long time that I think it's so cool to have you both in the same room doing all these incredible songs.
Yes, and we have an amazing band, and my husband is actually playing bass in the band.
Awesome.
So
very cool.
Very excited. Yes.
Awesome. So where can people watching right now buy tickets for that show?
So you go to thesmithcenter.com, and if you just put in the search menu either D-Train or Elisa Fiorillo, it should pop up, and it'll take you straight to where you buy seats. And I think we're almost more than halfway sold out, so we got to get it soon. And the ticket prices are pretty reasonable. I think it's like $25 to $35, the max. And the seats there are great. Like anywhere in the whole place is a great seat, and the sound is amazing. It's the best sound in the city. So we're excited to play there and get funky.
Yes, guys, if you're in the area, or if you're just looking for something fun to go do, go to Vegas and check out this show. It's going to be incredible.
Yes, it is. And I'll be dancing at the end, doing some dancing. Definitely.
Definitely. So you talked about your husband and how he's playing bass April 6th with you. So during COVID, you actually wrote quite a few songs with your husband. Let's just talk a little bit about why you started writing and what you started writing about.
Okay, so I don't know if everybody knows my story, but back in 2019, I had been married for 17 years. And he had to put up with a lot, you know, person traveling, being on tour and taking care of a child without me home, and you know, a lot of stresses of life and everything else. Anyway, I lost my husband to suicide, and my daughter lost her father to suicide, and it was devastating, tragic, but yet I knew I had to pick myself up and like be strong and go forward. I couldn't just fall apart. And one of the things I did after about 3 or 4 months, I decided I've got to go out and I've got to do life. I have to go out. So I didn't want to go out alone. And there was an art gallery thing in town. And I said, who could I ask? So I thought of my friend Carlos, that I thought, well, he's the nicest guy in the world. And I totally feel safe with him. He never hit on me ever. And he's just such a nice guy. And I never looked at him that way. You know, I just didn't. And so he said, sure, I'll go with you. And we went to the art gallery and we got hungry and we left and we said, let's go get something to eat. And we're sitting across from each other, listening to music, and the girl singing was really not that great. And we were both sitting there going like this, like on some of the pitchy things and kicking each other under the table, you know, and just had something in common in that way. And then he buttered my bread. And I was like, why something that small meant so much to me, but it did.
Wow.
Because I didn't have that before. I didn't have someone looking out for me. And it was, you know, he did it. He did what he could, but it was a different type of love. This man, my God, as soon as he buttered my bread, I just went, light bulb. And he said, are you sure you maybe like a nice guy? You're always like the bad boys. I'm like, I think I'd like to try a nice one for a change, you know, like a really nice guy. And sure enough, we took it very slow. And then my daughter started like wanting him to come around. So I kind of let her call the shots. She's like, can you invite Carlos for dinner tonight? Can you call Carlos? Tell him to come over. And so it was a beautiful, we took it. I wanted to go faster than he did. So he respected the daughter. He respected that she lost her father. It was a lot of stuff going on. And from that, we became just like, he's my soulmate. And one of the things that like I always wanted was someone that I could write songs with, because it's just the most magical thing in the world to have words and music come through you. and then you create something that could help people or inspire people. And so I asked him, I'm like, have you ever written a song? I know you play bass, but can you play guitar? And he's like, yeah, I can play guitar. I'm like, well, you want to write? And he's like, I'll try it. And so we started writing, and then COVID hit, and that's all we did. We just wrote. And got like about 13 or 14 songs under our belt. And so now I'm thinking we want to record them all. It was very therapeutic. There's a lot of stuff that could help a lot of people. I wrote a song called She Was the Reason that's about suicide and about, you know, the one thing my husband and I had always had in common was our daughter, and that was about it. So she was always the reason for everything that we did. And from this point forward, she's going to be the reason for everything that I am. And I'll never forget you, because it's easy. It's hard to do, because when she smiles, I see you. And it's beautiful. I mean, and it could hit so many people that have gone through this that have to keep moving. You have to keep going forward. You have to, you know, love life and pick it up and dust it off and keep living. So that's what I did. And I got married in October, and we've just had such a special relationship, and Olivia loves him and I love him, and he's got 5 other kids. So now I'm like, I've got the Brady Bunch. There's 3 girls, 3 boys. I've got 2 grandkids, you know, and it's like all of a sudden I'm like, I didn't know I was gonna have grandkids in this deal. Hold on, I'm not that old yet. But it's a beautiful thing, and it's, you know, it's a daily thing that I'm thankful for, you know.
Yeah. And thank you for being so honest and opening up about that, because I can only imagine what it's like to have this life partner, and then all of a sudden they're just not there anymore. And you're like, not only are you dealing with the grief of that, but your daughter is also dealing with it as well, right? Because she lost her father. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to even go on with my life?
Right. It's true. So, yeah. And she's actually been very helpful. A friend of hers had a father who died of COVID, like right after all this happened. And it was almost like they had come into each other's lives, because Olivia had known how to deal with that. And then just recently, a friend of mine passed away of cancer at 47 years old. And her poor little girl, who was like my second daughter, called my daughter and said, how do I deal with this? You've been through this. How do I deal with this? And so through the pain and through the suffering, the strength that we both have gotten from it to help other people is just as, you know, powerful. So
and my condolences to you, because I can't even imagine, you know, going through something like that, and then just like devastation, but then you finding this new love, and then this person sharing this love of music with you. And I think, like you said, when you have music that runs through you, and then your partner is creative and musical, and then you come together and you're like this force, and it's like, oh my gosh, we have so much magic going on between us. Like, we just got to get this out.
And that's actually the name of the album is going to be called The Elorza Effect, because that's my new last name, Elorza. I love that. Elisa Elorza. Sounds so good. But it's the Elorza Effect.
I can see it in Vegas.
It could be a movie title.
Right?
Yeah. But he had an effect on me, and I had an effect on him, because he had never really been a real, you know, constant writer. And I needed that. I needed his inspiration and his chord changes, and he loves his chords. He likes to change chords a lot, and I'm always yelling at him. I'm like, no, don't go there. We got to stay stuck on the melody. But we work it out, and what comes of it is a lot of great music. So yeah.
And during COVID, you did something productive. I feel like when COVID hit, everybody was like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And I love how you channeled it into something positive and creative and musical. So I guess walk us through, like, was it like an everyday writing thing, or like how were the other ways that you were coping through COVID?
Well, during COVID, the other really cool thing that happened was my father had moved in with me. He had picked up and left his city of Philadelphia that he knew his whole life, and he was getting older and he was in a wheelchair. And I said, you know, Dad, you're not living. You're sitting in front of a TV. You need to come to Vegas. I'll take you to shows. I'll do whatever. And all of that happened in the first 2 years, and then COVID hit. So he would always get mad at me because I'd always be running errands and doing real estate and just running around like a chicken with her head cut off. Yeah. And during COVID, I got to spend quality time with him. Like, I wasn't constantly running because we were home. We were stuck. So I looked at it as a really positive thing because it forced me to cherish the things that were the most important. And gosh, don't make me cry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And in 2020, in May of 2020, my dad passed away, but it wasn't from COVID, but it was just, he had a stroke and he passed away. But Carlos helped me so much with that whole thing. He sat and played songs for my dad. He listened to music with him. He helped me take care of him, which was very physically, hard to do. I'm only 5'2", and thank God he's 6'3". So, and I never dated a tall guy, and it's so cool.
I know, you're like, oh, you're all the way up there.
I love it. So he'll kill me, but I love his legs. I'm sorry. He has the longest legs, and I'm like, I'm so jealous. I always wanted legs like yours. But no, but it was such a beautiful transition. He asked my dad's permission to marry me. My dad said he would be thrilled to have him as a son. All that happened in COVID. So I look at it as a very magical time of connection and reflection, because we got to get out a lot of stuff that I've been going through.
Yeah, and it's like when you're in your house all day, you have to deal with the emotions. Like it's not like you could just like go randomly like do errands and stuff. Like you literally have to sit in your house and just be like, okay, what's going on in my head? I need to like fix everything so I can just get through today.
Yes. Yep.
So you also do real estate. So
how do I?
About this real estate journey that you've been on.
So I started in 2006. It was right when Prince called because I didn't know what else to do. Yeah. I wasn't singing. So I got my license. My dad got me the books and paid for the class, and I got my license, and I'm terrible at taking tests, and somehow or another I did pass, thank God. But I've been doing, it started off slow, and then of course when I was touring, I was like, can't do real estate, but I'd pay my dues and keep my license. But then as I stopped touring, things started picking up, and I always get referred from people previously. I don't promote myself. I don't put marketing billboard signs up. I usually go by referrals, and I work a lot because I take care of people and I care, and I do a hard job working for people. So I'm busy now. There's crazy selling out in Vegas right now. Whew. But poor buyers are having to buy way above the value. So that's pretty hard for the buyers, but I'm working my magic.
Yeah. And that's cool. Yeah, and that's cool that the market is booming, because the thing is, like, right, with COVID, like, people were moving, people were like
losing their jobs.
Exactly. There was so much going on.
I know. It's crazy. The market is this way because there's really low inventory, and but they now are starting to build a lot. So it'll probably even out eventually. I don't think it's going to drop, but I don't have a crystal ball, and I can't see that.
You're just going to roll with the punches.
Just going to roll with it.
Whatever happens, I'm going to be good.
Yes.
So I know that you've toured extensively with Prince, with NPG, with Savage Garden, like even on your own. So touring internationally, what are your favorite cities and venues?
My favorite city of all time is Italy. It's Rome. Yeah. Love Rome. I always wanted to go to Barcelona. That might be a future honeymoon spot.
Cool.
I loved Paris. The first time I went, I didn't love it. The second time I loved it. I'm trying to think. Ibiza was crazy. I went there. I'll never forget that. Madison Square Garden was probably my favorite Prince show because my dad was there, and he got to meet Prince, and that was really funny. because they were both the same height. And when they stood there eye to eye, and my dad had on this long trench coat, they looked like John Gotti. And my uncle and my brother were with him, and they were all the same height. And Prince pulled me aside after meeting my dad, because my dad said to him, he goes, "Your show was very good." He goes, "I didn't expect it to be, but I was pleasantly surprised. You're a very talented man." I'm like, what did you just say to him?
Oh my god.
And then Prince goes, "I need to talk to you about your dad." I'm like, oh no. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I mean, was he familiar with Prince before?
No, not at all.
He wasn't?
Not at all. He didn't know any songs, just like me when I started. and I think he really was very surprised that he enjoyed him. Like, my dad was a classical pianist, like, but he could see the talent in Prince, and he could see his genius. And he said to me on a personal note, he's like, "He's a good-looking man." I was like, "Dad," he's like, "He's got pretty eyes." And I'm like thinking of the whole Jamie Foxx thing where they're talking about how he has these doe eyes. I'm like, and I did. I said, "You know what, Prince? You better be nice. My dad said you were handsome. Like, be nice." Yeah, he liked to play around.
Oh, I love it. So I guess tell me, what is one of the most things that you're most proud of in your musical career?
Wow. Ugh. That's a good question. I think I'm most proud of my new project, honestly, because it's real. It's who I am now. It's unapologetically my 53-year-old self, finally getting to express all the things I've wanted to express in my career, but never had an opportunity to.
Yeah.
So, and my thing is, I know that a lot of people out in Vegas do a lot of gigs here where they cover tunes and, you know, impersonations like Dolly Parton or whatever.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of room for original music, which kind of stinks. But my goal is put this record out and find little venues, even if they're not huge venues, to perform this live, because it needs to be heard. It's too many of the songs are just too relatable to what people need to hear. And that's why I write, because I think it's me, like, how the heck do you say it? Therapizing? I don't know. Being therapeutic.
Yeah.
But knowing that there are other people like that need to hear it, you know? So
right.
I definitely want to, I think this is my most proud project, I think.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to hear it, because it's like, it's you and your truth and going through things and writing with your husband and just evolving and just helping yourself, but also helping other people, right? Because I think when you write a piece of music, it's very, very, very personal. You're like, oh my gosh, like now I'm very scared to record it, because like I've kind of never said anything like this to anybody before.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
Right?
Your babies. Prince would call his songs his little babies, and it's they're very close to you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it just, the thing is, it's so therapeutic for you, and then you record it, and then people hear it, and then people reach out to you and say, "Thank you so much for this song. I was going through XYZ, and I don't feel like I'm alone anymore."
Well, that's what happened on I Am. I had an album when I worked with Prince. Yeah. And there was a song called Purpose in Your Life that I wrote with Levi and David Z. And it was about teenage suicide, believe it or not. And I had never experienced suicide, but I had a fan write me telling me that she had gone through a lot of stuff at home with somebody who had molested her and everything else, and she just wanted to kill herself. But if I could just send her a picture, she wouldn't. And I was like, oh my God, get me a picture, you know, quick, you know. And I signed it, but then I felt it felt empty just signing a picture. So I wrote her a letter, and I said, look, you need to talk to your parents. You need to talk to a therapist. You need to talk to somebody. I care. Please don't do it. You know, I don't you're making me feel guilty here. My picture isn't going to save your life. You need to really look and know you have a purpose to be here. And it's just so crazy that later in my life, I had to deal with it in my own life, you know?
Right.
But I wrote a song about it, and then it happened to me. It's just crazy. That happened to me a lot in my life. Oh, I don't even want to go into it. But a song I sang when I was a little girl, it was about a girl that was being abused, and I was in an abusive relationship where a guy held a knife to my throat, and it was awful. And in the song, it talks about ants running across a kitchen sink. And when I came home the night that happened to me, there were ants running across my kitchen sink.
Oh my gosh.
I sang this as an 11-year-old. Little did I know later in life this would happen. Just crazy stuff like that happened to me.
Yeah.
So I've been through a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I'm most proud of what I'm doing right this minute.
Wow.
I don't care about having a big hit. I don't care about touring. I don't care about all that. I want my songs to be heard.
Yeah.
So.
I just got chills when you said that, because you were talking about singing the song at 11, and then like you had this incident and there were ants, and it's like, it's kind of weird how music does that, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, I sung this like 10 or 15 or 30 years ago. And like now it's coming to me in a different form. Like that's so crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's crazy. I know.
Wow. So what music are you listening to? Any like specific artists, genres of music? New, old music?
Right now, I've been listening to Into the Woods, because my daughter's Into the Woods. She's doing a musical. So every day I hear her singing in her room. I like, who do I listen to? I haven't been listening to anybody because I'm trying to learn all these songs for the show. So yeah. I mean, one of my favorite singers, there's a lady named Leah Salonga, who's a Filipino artist. She was in Miss Saigon. See, there's my Broadway coming right out. Yeah. Streisand used to be one of my favorites. Not so much anymore. Maybe a little. I like Billie Eilish. There's a couple of singers that Olivia has played me, and I couldn't tell you who they were, but the writing is so beautiful. I wish I knew the names of some of these people. There's so many of them nowadays. It's hard to keep up, right? Yeah. Saturated with a lot of really talented kids out there. And so if I can think of them later, I'll put it in the chat.
Definitely. So for the people watching right now that want to support you in your musical journey, what can they do?
Well, I do have the old-fashioned website. It's www.elisafiorillo.com. I do have Facebook, and I do check it every now and then. I have a personal one, and then I have a business, for my singing. Yeah. I have Instagram, which it's Elisa Fiorillo 1. They didn't have Elisa Fiorillo. Somebody took my name. So it's Elisa Fiorillo 1. Yep. And I'm on Twitter, but I don't really tweet very much. And that's pretty much it. And then I'll probably start posting more on my website because we just kind of revamped it. And my husband did it. And probably put some videos up and just let people know when I'm performing and when the record's coming. And so.
Awesome. Yeah. So you have the show April 6th. There's music that's going to be recorded. What else is coming? What else can we expect from you?
Isn't that enough? I got real estate to do. I got houses to close.
Houses to sell.
My daughter has rehearsals every weekend. I'm going to take her to. She's got her play coming up. If you want to come see her, she'll be at the end of April in Summerlin, downtown Summerlin. Yeah. We're doing a production of Into the Woods. Cool. She's playing one of the stepsisters, Lucinda, and it's her first play with this company. So she's excited. And I'm just being mom, and I'm being happy and living life, and
Awesome. Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much. That's all the questions I have this evening. But guys, don't go anywhere because you're going to sing for us.
I'm going to sing. I need water. Hold on. I woke up with there's wind blowing like crazy in Vegas. And Anyway, I thought I had a cold, but I don't have a cold. It's just the wind, allergies. But anyway, so this one is a song that Carlos and I wrote in Maui on our honeymoon. We were actually on the balcony, and he picked up the guitar, and we were saying, wow, there's like no better day than today. But it has like a dual meaning. Like there's no better day than today to like start and do your life. Or there's no better day than today, just enjoying the day. So anyway, that's the first song, and that's written by myself and Carlos, and it'll be on the Carlos, or the Alorza effect. Not the Carlos effect. What does it feel like to be someone conscious and free all of the time? I wanna be like you and follow dreams, take a chance, learn to sing, even on cloudy days, learn to dance in the rain. I have walked for miles, getting nowhere but here. And now that I am with you, the skies ahead are clear. I found my way, and there's no better day than today. No better day. I think about your smile and all the life that it brings to me. Wishing that you would know that every path you create will shine your way back home, your way back home. I have followed footprints in the sand that weren't my own. I realized you were with me all along. There's no better day. There's absolutely no better day. No better day than today. No better day. No better day. There's no better day than today.
Yes!
Oh,
Beautiful song!
Yay!
It's so inspirational. It's like I want to like wake up every morning and play that song.
Thank you.
Yeah, like it's just a good way to
About
like
time we put some positivity into this world, right?
I love it. I just want to go through some of these comments. Kathleen says, lovely voice. Carla says, perfect pitch and bravado. Lemongrass Organic Skincare says, love it. Such a pretty song. Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank Carlos, because he brought all those chords together.
Yes, Carlos. Beautiful.
So, all right. So you want to hear one more?
One more.
Okay. So this one I wrote for my brother's wedding, but it could apply for anybody's wedding. So if you need a wedding song, this would be the one. This is called Then There Was You. I'll try to hold the lyric up a little bit so I don't look down. You're seeing my roots. People wonder most of their lives, searching for love. in all sorts of shapes and disguises, but mostly it's never enough. They try to change the person you are, but love like that don't get very far. It's true. And then there was you, a sparkle added to my eyes. I dreamed of this 1,000 times, but I never thought it could be standing right there in front of me. Then there was you. I'm overcome with so many feelings that words only get in the way. I'm giving you all my love and devotion to keeping your heart tucked away, so that no one can take what is already took. You can be the final chapter in my storybook. It's true. Oh, oh, oh. And then there was you, a sparkle added to my eyes. I dreamed of this 1,000 times, but I never thought it could be standing right there in front of me. And then there was you. There was you. Yeah. Guitar solo. I should have sang this at my wedding.
Darn it.
And then there was you, the ending to my starry night. I wished for you 1,000 times, but I never dreamed you would be standing right here in front of me. Then there was you. Then there was you. There was you. Then there was you. Yay!
Yes! Thank you, thank you. That was beautiful. And everybody in the chat was loving it.
Oh, thank you. Yay.
Awesome. So do you have some time for some questions from the audience?
Yes, I have time.
Beautiful. So guys, if you're in the chat room right now and you have questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below.
Thank you, guys. Bravo. Hey, my sister-in-law's on there. Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia.
What does success mean to you?
Happiness. Being happy. Doesn't matter how much money. Doesn't matter, you know, how successful in your career, as long as you're happy. Because I've had lots of money and I've had no money. And I've been happiest even with no money. You have to find happy in every day, no matter what your situation. That's what So.
Kathleen says, are you coming to Rochester, New York with New Power Generation?
They didn't invite me. But
Aw.
if they ever did, I might come along.
They should invite you.
So
Oh
Mars Hayes, if you're in there listening anywhere, invite me sometime. I'd love to sing.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes, I have an Apple Watch on. Somebody's asking. I love my Apple Watch. I can't live without it.
Would you ever do a song with your daughter and record it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes. She actually wrote a song the Purple Playground, we're actually writing a musical because of my love for Broadway and everything else. All the songs we wrote during COVID, we're like, you know what? We could write a story around all these songs and put a musical together. And one of the songs that we're going to have in the musical, it's a song that Olivia and I wrote together called My New Reality. And it's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I think it would be so amazing to hear both you and your daughter together just doing it.
Yes. 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 I would love that. If she would just let me sing.
What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Well, when I was younger, I was doing this show and I sang at the cast party, and my dad went up to Michel Legrand, who is a famous songwriter who wrote one of my all-time favorite songs, How Do You Keep the Music Playing, James Ingram. So, and I'm actually singing it at the show on the 6th.
Yeah.
And he went up to Michel Legrand and he said, what do I do with her? Should I get her voice lessons? Because I was 11 and I was singing. And he said, don't touch her. Let her just be natural. And it was the best advice anybody ever gave me, because I learned I found my voice without having a teacher tell me where it was. You know, it's great to have a teacher, don't get me wrong, for warming up and, you know, figuring out how to go from head to chest and chest to head. But there's a certain thing that happens when you're forced to find your voice, you know?
Yeah.
So that was really good advice. Thank you, Michelle.
Carrie says, I saw you sing in Las Vegas at the Italian American Club. Do you still sing there? It was fun meeting you.
Oh, I would love to. Actually, the owner of that club keeps saying to me, when are we doing a show? I know for sure I'm actually doing a New Year's Eve gig there.
Oh, cool.
So that will be a blast. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in there before New Year's because I'm going to be working on this album. So probably New Year's Eve. Come to Vegas. It's a perfect place to celebrate New Year's.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Carrie also says, when did you start writing songs?
So this is how it all started. My parents were getting a divorce. And I wanted to help my mom kind of put into words what she really wanted to say to my dad. And he left her for another woman.
Yeah.
So the song was called Why Did You Have to Leave Me? It was very straight ahead.
Yeah.
And when I would sing that song, my mom would cry and my dad would walk out of the room, and I didn't know why. But it started young. That was like my way of dealing with like things, because I took on a lot of my mom's being upset, and I tried to be her mom and mother her, and it was just a lot of stuff happened. And yeah, it's interesting how writing just kind of fell in my lap to just a way to deal with like stuff.
Yeah, and I think because it's carried you through your life, it's like you've gone through these ups and downs, right? And then you're able to get it out through writing and then sharing, and then people saying to you, thank you so much for writing that song. It really, you know, touched me.
Well, what's interesting is I did a record with a young guitarist named Tyler Reese, and we did the Decent Reese Project. And on that album, I dreamt a song. I woke up and I'm like, give me a tape recorder. Like it just came out. And it was about being overweight in this business and always feeling like you're not good enough. Yeah. No matter how talented you are, if you're not perfect, they don't want to have anything to do with you. And it's called Lollipop Ice Cream. And it is probably my favorite song I've ever written. And I played it for Prince. Yeah. And I knew he'd like it. And he called me on the phone and he goes, where did this come from? And I'm like, just happened. He goes, how did you come up with this? And I said, I've had to deal with people putting me down my whole life with the career, and like editing my On the Way Up video was very hard. These people were sitting there editing going, no, we can't use that shot. She looks pregnant. You know, things like that, that stuck in my brain. Like, whoa, okay, I'm sitting right here, people.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he goes, if I would have had that song back in the day when I did the Parade album, he goes, I would have had a hit with it. I said, really? Oh, really? Who would have said I would give it to you? You know? But he said to me, you need to keep writing. That was the last real conversation we had. He said, you need to keep writing. You need to write for other artists. You need to keep writing. That's what you need to do. And so that stuck with me. And that's why I do it.
Yes. So Jamie says, who is your favorite female singer?
My favorite used to be Streisand. I do like Linda Eder. I think she's got a beautiful voice, powerful. I'm trying to think some like recent people. This is hard because I don't listen too much to the radio anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some great singers. Technically, I like to feel stuff, so it has to be a singer that really gets my heart. So,
Melinda says, what was your favorite thing about working with Prince?
Making him laugh.
Yeah.
He had a. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I got tissues. I like to give him like the realness that I felt like he didn't have in his life, you know, being who he was. And since I knew him when I was so young, and then I came back into his life, I felt like I had come back in to bring the realness back into his life for that time. And honestly, like when Shelby Livin and I used to hang out with him before the Horns came and before Third Eye Girl came, because, you know, he changes bands like underwear, you know, like you're the band now, but in a couple months you're going to be not the band. But that time that we were the band, we were like sisters and brother, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget how close we were, all the laughs, and I got that tape to remind me that I can hardly listen to because it just makes me cry, because I just feel like he went too soon and it was a mistake, and he was not an addict, and I don't know how the hell he got that, and it just makes me sick. And now when you see all this stuff on the news about these kids overdosing on weed that has fentanyl laced in it, it's just very, it's scary. It's really scary.
I can only imagine what some of the conversations were like between you guys when you were laughing and joking and just like all like what you guys were talking about, because you were so close. You spent so many years together that you have all these inside jokes.
Right. Like the time I hit him with my ponytail on Take Me With You. Because he insisted on us sharing a mic, and it was so uncomfortable. Like trying to, you know, do this and like share without like touching his mouth, like, because it was close and you had to get right on the mic, and his mouth was like right there, and you're like, oh shoot. So, you know, I had a big ponytail that day, and I guess I got into it, and I was jamming, and I flipped my hair, and I smacked him in the face, and I didn't even know I did. And afterwards, he goes, don't ever hit me with your ponytail again. I was like, sorry, am I fired?
We were too close.
Yeah, so things like that. And one time I had on this Betsy Johnson skirt. I forget if I was in, I forget where we were. But I was feeling myself. I thought I looked good. I had a little corset on. I had little shiny boots. I had little stockings. And he's like standing there as we're going on stage, and he goes, did you rob Olivia's clothes today? And I'm like, no. He's like, you went in Olivia's closet. I know it. And he'd like to play like that. And I'm like, no, it's my clothes, and they're cute. Leave me alone. Yeah. One time I remember he had us come in the dressing room, and he liked to see what we were wearing for that night, and he'd call a color, like, so black and gold, or red and black, or blue and black, or so it was black and gold night. And I had this really cute sequin one shoulder dress, and I walked into his dressing room, and I was feeling myself again, you know, thinking I looked all good. And he goes, "Take that off, you look like you're from Vegas." I was like, oh, okay. So
wow.
yeah. He was something.
Aw, I love it. Well, thank you so much for the stories, the interview, the conversation, your honesty. And I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry twice.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm going through menopause. That's what happens.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming on my show and answering my questions and sharing your musical journey. I think it's so important for musicians to do shows like this, because then people really get to know the person behind the music. And I'm so excited to hear this music that you did with Carlos when you finally record it. So when it finally comes out, please come back on my show and we can talk all about these songs in their entirety.
Okay.
Yeah?
I definitely will take you up on that.
Cool.
All
so
right.
I just want to say thank you again. And guys, if you don't already, please make sure to follow Elisa right here on Instagram, the website, Facebook, Twitter, the show April 6th in Vegas. The new album is coming out. And any final words for you?
And the show is at 7 o'clock, not 8, like D-Train said. First he tells everybody it's April 9th, and then he tells everybody the show starts at 8. I hope he remembers to say my name correctly at the gig.
Yes. So any final words for the room?
Oh my God, my daughter said, "I'm such a big fan, Elisa. You are something." She just wants Jimmy John's.
So do you have any final words for everybody in the room?
Just thank you guys for listening, for following me, for my career, and for giving me a chance to express myself now, because it's important to me on many levels to get these songs out there and be heard, and hopefully when they're out they'll help you, you know.
Yes. Oh, that's such beautiful words. Thank you guys so much for joining this conversation. Elisa, thank you for spending your evening with me. I know you have to go pick your daughter up, so I'll let you get going.
All right.
And guys, be safe, support good music. If you're in Vegas, please go see the show on August 6th. It's Elisa and D-Train. They're going to be singing some awesome songs.
April 6th, not August. You said
I'm sorry.
April.
Well, I keep saying August.
You have the D-Train disease?
I know. I actually said August earlier when I was talking to you. April 6th, guys. Don't listen to me. April 6th. April 6th. Just a couple weeks away. So, guys, please go see that show in Vegas. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.